students, staff, distinguished guests, family, and friends. The senior class chose me by a vote back in March to speak to you all here tonight. So first, I'd like to thank all the seniors who voted for Miss Sparrow, or Coach Boyer, or Miss Munley, or Miss Nakatani. To be honest, I was hoping I would not get picked. Because as much as I was honored, part of me thought, what do I know? What could the seniors possibly hope to hear from me that might do them some good? I began to feel pressure to pass on some wisdom or give some life-changing advice. So I began to reflect on my 34 years on this earth. I sifted through the memories of my 8 years teaching at BHS, and I visualized the 1,000 or so students who have walked through my classroom door. And I envisioned the class of 2008 in your caps and gowns, seated in row upon row before me. And then I felt the pressure lift when I realized they'll be too busy sending text messages to listen to my speech anyway. It appears, at least from here, I can't see all of your laps, but it looks like Off and Away is in full effect tonight, so I appreciate that. And anyway, what do I know that might do you some good to hear? Even though I graduated from high school around the time you were born, I've traveled to 4 continents, I've been married for 9 years to a wonderful woman, and I've got 2 great kids. I still don't feel like I know much more than I did when I was 17. Now, I'm conveniently forgetting what a bonehead I was when I was 17. My mom was here tonight also, and I'm sure she would back me up on that. But after 17 more years of life experience, I don't think I'm still such a bonehead. My wife's here tonight, so if you hear someone yelling, "Yes, he is," that's probably her. But whether or not I'm qualified, I'd like to give the class of 2008 a welcome, some food for thought, and my thanks. First, a welcome. Graduation from high school is a rite of passage into adulthood in our culture. So welcome to the adult world in America. You can feel thankful you didn't have to hunt a lion like Maasai boys do in East Africa. You didn't have to marry someone you've never met like in many traditional societies. You came to class, you did some homework, passed most of your tests, and managed to show up here tonight on time. As your reward, adult life officially begins in a couple hours. And I have to say, it's a pretty sweet deal. Specifically, here are 3 changes that I think you'll enjoy as you begin adult life. Number 1, consider the fact that you will have more free time than you have had since you were about 5. And unlike then, you're allowed to leave the house by yourself. Especially if you're off to college, and even if you're going straight into a job, and maybe even if you enlisted in the military, you will be in charge of your time to a greater degree than ever before. I could be wrong about that last one, but I'm not sure. No more 35 hours a week of classes at BHS, plus homework and meetings or practices after school. You've got hours and hours coming your way. What are you going to do with all that free time? Besides goofing around online, I mean. Your time, which is the most valuable thing you have, is yours now, and it always will be, unless and until you give control of it to others. Be careful who you sign it over to. The second cool thing about the immediate post-high school period is that it's possible to reinvent yourself. Take me, for example. I was a rather, what's the best way to say this? Academically oriented student in high school. And I went from that to going to college and getting pretty good at throwing darts and perfecting my dance moves and growing my hair long. None of my new friends knew the high school me. And so in college there was no one around to say, "Hey, you can't do that, you're supposed to be a nerd, remember?" Now please don't take what I'm saying here as encouragement to ditch your old friends. Sure, 3 of the groomsmen in my wedding were college friends, but 2 of them were guys I've known since 4th grade. There's an old saying that new friends are like silver, but old friends are like gold. And that could be a reference to how much money each one owes you. But it also makes the point that a person can take this reinvention thing too far. Loyalty and stability have value too. So go ahead, try out new activities, new identities, make some mistakes and learn from them. Just remember what and who got you this far. The third perk of adult life, as I see it, is that no one gets away with treating you like a kid anymore. If you're lucky or especially responsible, this change happened long ago. Some of you already have jobs that give you real money in return for real responsibility. Others soon will. Many of you are still riding that parental gravy train, and to you I say, choo-choo. Ride that sucker till the end of the line, just like I did. But whether it's your parents or your job that's keeping a roof over your head, you can expect to be treated like an adult. No more closed campus. No more curfew. No more living under presidents you had no part in electing. But here's the catch. Your fellow adults expect you to behave like an adult too. Money and freedom and rights work best when used responsibly. And who is it that will be watching over you, ensuring you are making good choices? Your family? Sure. Your boss? Sometimes. But at the end of the day, and more importantly, at the end of your life, it is you who must be the watcher of yourself. It is you who will live with your decisions. Listen to that little voice in your head, the one that tells you to do the right thing. As for my little voice, for years it's been whispering at me to get out and see the world. This year the whispers became shouts, and I realized that my little voice wasn't just talking about the world between BHS and my house in Southeast Portland. So my family and I are off to Shanghai, China in a few weeks. I'll be teaching there for at least a couple years. We've never been there. We speak no Chinese. And I'm thrilled about the adventures we'll have together. So, like you seniors, I'm leaving BHS. Before we go our separate ways into the world, a few thanks are in order. After all, my entire career to this point has been spent at this school that I love. A big thank you to my colleagues, especially my comrades in the social studies department. Practicing saying comrades for when I go to China. My colleagues have inspired me by their example. They've challenged my thinking, and on occasion they've done my dirty dishes. Thank you, Linda. I will miss our camaraderie and our cooperation, and I promise to stay in touch. To parents and other community members, thank you for your solid support of Beaverton schools. Having my own children has taught me that responsible, well-mannered, and thoughtful students are not born, they are made. I've been very fortunate to work with your children. And to the class of 2008, thank you for making my job fun and pushing me to improve. Sometimes when I talk to my non-teacher friends about their jobs, it hits me. They don't get to be around teenagers all day at work. What is up with that? I mean, who's holding these people accountable? Who's there to call them on their hypocrisy or crack the whip on them when they slack off? So I thank you, seniors, for sharing your opinions and your passions so freely. What I love about you most of all, and what has motivated me to keep spending 2 hours a day commuting to and from BHS, is how good you are to one another. How you just let each other be yourselves. Please nurture the decency and the maturity that I see in you. The world needs your energy, your new ideas, and your love. In closing, I ask you all to remember that this life is the only one we get. So go out there into the world and live it up. See you around.